Hi, my name is Dan Russell, and I'm a research scientist at Google, where I work on search, and I teach classes like this one. Because my goal in doing a lot of this kind of work is to help people become better searchers, and that's what I hope you get out of this class. How can you be a power searcher with Google? The chief contents of this class are, first, how does Google work? We'll talk about that. But more importantly, I want you to be able to have the skills to understand the idea of search and the methods, the strategies and tactics to allow you to actually find what you need to find. So we'll be talking about some key methods to improve your search skills. We'll also talk about a few things like what does it mean to search? What does it mean to search on Google and on other products? It's also important to understand what kinds of things you can find. Not everything is on the internet. I know, shock. The way we'll do this, we'll be going through a set of classes. Each class is composed of a set of lessons. So here we'll start with class 1, how Google works. And within this class, we'll have a set of lessons. Now, each class may have 4 or 5 or 3 different lessons, but you'll go in process through each one. Well, class 1, lesson 1, class 1, lesson 2, and so on. And when you get to the end of each lesson, there will be an activity. The activity is intended to give you a little bit of practice on the skills and ideas that were taught within that lesson. I highly recommend that you do the activities because that's the only way you're going to cement the key ideas of that lesson, that class. That's what the activities are for, so be sure you do them. Now, when we get roughly to class 3, we're going to have a mid-class test. Now, the test is not critical to your life. It's intended to give you a sense of what works and what doesn't work, what you know, what you don't know. So it's really intended to help you diagnose your state of knowledge. There's one in the middle, and there's one at the end. As I said, one of the key ideas here is that search is sort of one of these ubiquitous things. It lives in almost every online product. Your mail has it, your online movie services have it, everything has search. What I hope you get from this class is a sense for the general functions of search and how you can take those skills you learned here and use them when you're next looking for a movie. For our next lesson, we'll be talking about the concept of filtering. When you do a search, you might get a million results. How can you filter it down to just the ones you want? Can you go from that to something more like that, something more precise, more targeted towards what you really want? Go ahead and go to the next activity, and then I'll see you in the next lesson. We'll be exploring. Welcome to lesson 1.2. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about how to filter results. As I said, we'll be talking about this in the context of color, but try to think about this concept more generally because it'll be useful later. The idea is you can go into Google and pose a query, and sometimes you get lots and lots of results, millions of results, but you're looking for something a little bit more precise than that. So the question is, how can I filter or limit the number of results by a particular property? In the image case, it's easy to imagine filtering by color, but that also sometimes has some context or semantic implications. So let's talk about filtering image results by color. As you know, you can go into Google image search and do a search for, say, fossils like this. But while these are nice fossils, maybe I want the whitish fossils, ones that are embedded in chalk or something. So to do that, what I will do is click on the Tools option and then on the Color option. As you can see here, it pops up a set of options: full color, black and white, transparent, or a little color palette right there. So now if I click on the white palette chip, what you'll see is suddenly all of the images are whitish in color, primarily white. So notice this isn't black and white, it's just whitish. Okay? Now, this is an interesting thing to notice because sometimes color can be super important. If you're searching for a sports car, you may not want a gray sports car. Maybe you want a red sports car. So now I can filter by color by doing that same thing. Click on the red palette item. Now we see a lot of beautiful orangish and reddish sports cars. Now, it's an interesting question. When you're filtering by color, sometimes it's more than just a color. For instance, here we have a set of football fields. I've done an image search for football fields, but I know that there are some football fields that are not green. In particular, I know there are some that are blue. So if I switch to filtering football field images by blue color, guess what? I get a lot of blue football fields. I will leave it to you to figure out why some places have football fields that are blue. It's an interesting question. But now, if you think about the different kinds of filters we can apply, sometimes it gets a little bit more subtle. So in this image search, I searched for Tesla. Now, what I was really thinking about was trying to find the inventor Tesla and not the car. Fine. So maybe I would think, let's search for black and white images of Tesla. So let me show you this. So here we are. We've done a search for Tesla the car, but there are two things to point out here. First, there are all these oval-shaped chips here at the top. You see those? If I click on one of these, say Roadster here, this will show me all the Teslas that are also Roadsters. So these allow you different kinds of filters. But in this case, what I really want to do is to go back. I'm going to clear this. So now we're back. I just turned the Roadster option off. But I want to search filter by color. In this case, black and white. And while that's great, it's still cars. I want a Tesla the person. So what I can do is filter by image type. What I mean by that is under this option here. See it? It says type. Click on that, and now I can filter by face, photo, clip, line art, and so on. Of course, if you modify the query and you modify the color, you'll be exploring a different part of the image space. Here, I've modified the query to be Tesla coil, and if it's purple, you get lots of beautiful arcing purple lightning bolts generated by Tesla coils. But if I go to black and white, now the context is different. Black and white images of lightning bolts are one thing, but also you get a lot of schematics. You get a lot of diagrams that show you how to build a Tesla coil. So sometimes the color implies a little bit of context, a little bit of semantics. So now you know how to search by color and how to filter by different properties like face and color and so on. Try activity 1.2 and see how far you get.